Imagine for a moment that the fate of the world might be decided in a closed room, away from the public eye, by the leaders of the world's largest religions. Yes, that's right. And what if I told you that these leaders, in an unprecedented act, have just signed a document that many believe to be the harbinger of an ancient prophecy? We're not talking about empty conspiracies, but signs pointing to something much bigger than we can imagine. What's really at stake here? And more importantly, what does this mean for you and the future of humanity? Get ready, because what you're about to discover may completely change your view of what's to come. Stay tuned, because the signs are closer than you think. In the heart of Kazakhstan, more precisely in the capital, Nur-Sultan, a meeting took place that sparked curiosity and, for some, even signs of concern. It was the 7th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, where influential figures such as Pope Francis, representatives of Islam, and Judaism gathered to discuss topics of utmost importance to humanity. Imagine the grandeur of a room where leaders who have historically followed different paths sit side by side in pursuit of a common goal. This is one of those rare signs the world gives us, where history and spirituality intertwine in an event that carries the weight of global decisions. The focus of this meeting was not merely political or diplomatic, but deeply spiritual and social. The role of religions in society, especially after the challenges posed by the pandemic, was the central point of discussion. Global peace, a concept that may seem utopian to many, was fervently advocated. It is not every day that we see religious leaders discussing, with such emphasis, the need for harmonious coexistence and mutual respect among peoples. This event in Nur-Sultan served as one of those signs that make us reflect on the direction humanity is taking, especially when such influential figures are willing to set aside their differences for a greater good. It is impossible to ignore the signs that arise when leaders of such importance come together with the aim of building a new reality for the world. If we stop to think, this Congress can be seen as a cornerstone for something greater, perhaps a prelude to events of even greater significance. There is a palpable sense in the air that something grand is on the horizon. But what could this union of spiritual forces really represent for the future of humanity? And more importantly, how can individuals interpret and react to these signs the world is giving us? The question remains, like an invitation to dive deeper into the unfolding of this story. Peace, an ideal so sought after but often difficult to achieve, was the central theme of this Congress in Nur-Sultan. During the discussions, it became evident that the quest for world peace is not just a political necessity, but also a spiritual mission. Leaders like Pope Francis not only emphasized the importance of ensuring religious freedom, but also the need to satisfy the thirst for peace that resides in human hearts. In a world where conflicts and misunderstandings seem to multiply daily, these leaders have become living signs of hope, proposing that faith could be the key to resolving global tensions. Pope Francis, in his speech, made a powerful appeal that religion be used as an instrument for building a more just and peaceful world. This is not just a utopia but an urgent necessity, especially in such turbulent times. He highlighted that instead of weapons, what the world needs is dialogue, understanding, and mutual respect. For many, these words resonate as signs of a path that, if followed, can indeed bring significant change. For those seeking to apply these teachings in their lives, the daily practice of empathy and open dialogue with people of different beliefs can be an excellent starting point. This global movement for peace is not just a distant dream. It is a clear sign that when there is will and unity, religions can play a crucial role in building a better future. Peace, though often seen as something abstract, becomes tangible when translated into concrete actions such as respecting differences and promoting the common good. This Congress was not just about words, but about actions that, if followed by everyone, can transform the world. And so, like a deep breath, the question arises, will this union in the pursuit of peace be enough to face the challenges that still lie ahead? Amidst the discussions about peace and unity, a deeper and, for many, more concerning layer emerges: the possible prophetic connections of this Congress. The video suggests that this meeting might not be just a diplomatic effort but a sign of what's to come, a harbinger of the arrival of the Antichrist. According to certain scriptural interpretations, The false peace that precedes the final destruction is one of the clearest signs that we are approaching times prophesied centuries ago. This type of event, where religious leaders from different traditions unite, can be seen as the beginning of a prophetic fulfillment that carries deep implications for the future. The Bible, particularly the book of Daniel, mentions an illusory peace that will be established by the Antichrist, deceiving many by promising security and stability. This Congress, then, could be seen as a step towards this false peace, where the union between religions is not necessarily for good, but to create an environment where the Antichrist can arise and exert his influence. The signs are there for those who know where to look, and analyzing these prophetic connections can offer a broader view of what is truly at stake. Faced with these connections, what remains is deep reflection. Are we witnessing the beginning of something greater, perhaps a literal fulfillment of prophecies? Or are these signs merely coincidences in an increasingly interconnected world? Regardless of the answer, it is impossible not to feel the weight of these possibilities and what they mean for the future of humanity. What is behind this global movement for peace? Does it really bring what it promises, or does it hide something darker? These questions begin to lead us into a darker field, where signs turn into omens, and where every action can have eternal repercussions. As we delve further into the analysis, the signs become even clearer and more disturbing. The video refers to apocalyptic events, such as those described in the Book of Revelation, where the global scenario unfolds in wars, famine, plagues, and natural disasters before the second coming of Christ. The peace pact that the Antichrist will make with Israel, according to these scriptures, will be broken, leading to what we know as the Battle of Armageddon. These events are not just myths or old stories. For many, they represent signs of an imminent future that must be watched carefully. Armageddon, often portrayed as the final confrontation between good and evil, is not just a physical battle, but also a spiritual one. These apocalyptic signs mentioned in the video, such as the abomination of desolation and the breaking of the peace pact, serve as warnings for those who understand the prophecies. They indicate that the time is approaching, and preparation for these events should not be delayed. For many, this preparation can begin with prayer, deep study of the scriptures, and strengthening faith as ways to guard against the trials that will come. The unfolding of these apocalyptic events raises a fundamental question. Are we ready for what is to come? The signs are all around us, and ignoring them could be a fatal mistake. It requires a keen eye and an open mind to understand that the times we live in might be the last chapters of a long story, and as the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. Thus, reflection on these events should not be taken lightly but as a call to action. But is there something more we need to consider before the worst happens? In the face of all these signs and events that seem to be unfolding before our eyes, a spiritual warning emerges that cannot be ignored. The pastor in the video emphasizes the importance of being spiritually prepared for the end times, advice that resonates with an urgency that is hard to ignore. According to him, the spirit of the Antichrist is already at work in the world, preparing the way for what is to come. These signs, visible to those who have eyes to see, are a call to vigilance and spiritual preparation, a preparation that begins within each of us. Keeping faith in Jesus is more than just an act of devotion. It is a fortress against the temptations and deceptions of a world peace that may not be what it seems. In a world where signs of change are everywhere, faith becomes the foundation upon which all other things must be built. The pastor suggests that true security does not lie in the promises of world leaders or political agreements, but in firm and unwavering belief in Christ. For those seeking to strengthen this faith, practical actions like daily Bible reading, constant prayer, and participation in faith communities are essential. This call to spiritual preparation is not just a suggestion but an imperative necessity in the times we live in. The signs are clear, and the time to act is now. Ignoring this warning can lead to eternal consequences, and the only way to be truly prepared is by strengthening the spirit and faith. So, amid so many uncertainties and signs pointing to what is to come, what are you doing to prepare yourself? The spiritual journey is personal, but the implications are universal. The next step is inevitable, and it's up to each of us to decide how we will face it. In light of everything that has been explored, the big question remains. Are you ready for what's next? The signs are clear, and the times are uncertain. This is not the time to close your eyes to the changes around us, but to open your heart and mind to the truth that is gradually being revealed. What will you do with all this knowledge? Will you let it pass by like so many others? Or will you use it as a turning point in your spiritual life? Remember, what's at stake here is not just the future of the world, but your own destiny. So, how about starting right now to prepare, strengthen your faith, and be ready for whatever comes? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to keep receiving valuable information that can make all the difference. What will you do with the signs you received today? Asterisk asterisk.